Welcome into the Crypto Bunker podcast. So the last video I made was possibly a little bit scary to some people. So I just wanted to say, like, if you're sufficiently freaked out, there's nothing to be afraid of. And actually, I wanted to highlight something that I stumbled across while I was listening to Jake Ducey talk about our ability to manifest positivity. And he talked about Bob Proctor, because Bob Proctor just passed away the other day, actually, when he was talking right before he started doing the show he was doing. Bob Proctor passed away. And so I thought it was important to cover. If you're not subscribed, I would suggest subscribing to Proctor Gallagher Institute. They have 1.42 million subscribers. He's changed lives, throughout the world. And what he discovered was that we have a conscious mind, a subconscious mind, and then our body. But the way to people don't picture their mind as like powerful enough. But, it is. And so the mind is actually a bigger circle than the body that he draws. And you can see his explanations. I just wanted to point out, I would recommend, they have a 24/7 live stream. If you're feeling negative, or you're feeling like I can't accomplish this, or I'm paralyzed because there's so much things happening in the world, I'm just going to shut down and I'm not going to, try to accomplish what I can. And what I want to say is that every single one of you can accomplish anything that you want to at any time that you want to. We are spiritual beings. Okay, we're connected to God. We are energetic beings, and this is why you can read sometimes what's happening with another person, because we actually can reach out with our energy and feel the other person's energy. So we're more powerful than anyone would have you understand. And that's how I feel. That might not be how you feel, but that's how I feel about myself. And what he explains is that what we put into our conscious mind, which is what we watch and what we see and what we read and all the things that we do and put into our minds and our thoughts, they seep into our subconscious mind. So they go from our conscious mind, what we're doing, to our subconscious mind without us really knowing, probably. And then that subconscious mind actually creates our actions and our results. So our results mainly. So if you're putting constant like positivity into your mind, like, like, I know that I can be rich. I know that I can accomplish, great things. Whatever your goals are, if you set out those goals and you repeat them to yourself through affirmations every single day, eventually you will automatically create those results. And obviously it takes discipline, it takes actions. But if you're consistently putting those thoughts, those positive thoughts into your mind, then you're able to sort of manifest those thoughts through the conscious, the subconscious, and then through your physical self. Because we all have a spirit, an intellect, and a physical body. And so, yeah, I just wanted to start off with that, because I know there's been a lot of negativity, and I'm a part of that. And like my last video obviously was a little bit towards that side. But at the same time, we do have to be aware of things happening in the world. So we can be aware of these things happening, and we can prepare, like I said. So now you prepared, right? So you might have watched the last video, you prepared. You bought some seeds, some gardening stuff. You bought some storable foods, you bought some gold and silver, you got some cash on hand. And so, you might have maybe a generator, backup power, things like that, backup heater, a stove that you can cook on, in case the power goes out, whatever it is, right? So if you have all those things, what is the point of constantly now being in that news cycle of like what's going to happen next? Obviously, we live in a crazy world, but there's been other times in our history that have been crazy too. So what we have to realize is that, for example, Dr. Thurman Fleet, he did concept therapy, and he was a Jewish psychiatrist that was in a Nazi concentration camp. And he said the people who didn't survive were actually the people who mentally gave up, and they mentally let themselves feel the pain and the things that were happening. But for him, he just kept himself in a different place. And so he said that the one thing that they cannot control is our mind. And so sometimes I feel like I know that in my opinion, the elites are trying to do bad things, to take more control. But the main thing that they don't want you to know, the main thing of anything, is that you have the power to do anything that you desire. And it's all in your mind. So just realize that whoever you are, if you're watching this video, we are all the same. We all have the same abilities. We can change our conscious thoughts to be positive, and then we can have good results from that positivity. So I just wanted to highlight that. And so let's get into the charts. So if we're looking at Ethereum on the hourly, we can see it's forming a little bit of a Gerald here. We got rejected at the 3,000 level, which isn't great to see. We also lost this 20 moving average SMA, 20 SMA on the hourly, 20-hour SMA. So, and now we lost the 50 as well. And so I guess if we look at it on the daily, which, I'd rather do that, we can see like we're sort of getting rejected here. You can see like the bears came in here. They also came in here, and I really wouldn't like us to close below 3,000. That, for today, that probably wouldn't be good. We're going to have to see what the move looks like for the NASDAQ and for the S&P 500 coming up, which the futures usually open around, I think around 6 o'clock. So you just keep an eye out if you're trading or whatever you're doing. You might not be, but excuse me, you need to just keep an eye out for the NASDAQ, for the S&P 500 opening on Sunday. That will determine sort of which way we're going to go. What I would say is that we usually, whenever we go to the 200-day on the daily in the past, we have either used it as support, or we have crashed below and then gone immediately back above it, and then use it as support. So when we're looking at that here, there's a definite possibility that we could make it back up to that 200-day. But what we would want to see is we would want to see us blast above it, come back and test it as support, and then go. So that's the only chance that the bulls have, is to break this 200-day moving average, which is around 35.42 right now. And so, and I also I've always shown you guys this long-term chart, this long-term support here. So if we take right from where the bull run started here, which is January 1st, or I wouldn't say it started January 1st, but that's when we really blasted off. We have used it as support. So we used it as support here, and that's how I got this line. So I started it here, I drew it here, and we crashed below it here for the first time. And then now we're back above it. So we would actually want to come back down and, make this support as well. So that would be probably around 27.56, something like that. And that's kind of matching up with our 20-day moving average as well. So if we did want to see maybe something along the lines of this, okay, if we're a bull here, this, okay, test back, we test that 200, and then we blast. So that's kind of like what the scenario for the bulls would be. And to be honest, I'm not a bull. I'm a bear now, in terms of just like my short-term opinion. I'm a long-term bull on Ethereum. I think that the technology that they have is amazing. And I think that there's a lot of talented people who are working on it. And I think that a lot of this Web3 metaverse stuff will play out in the future. I think it's going to be a rocky road to get there. I think that there's a possibility that a lot of these altcoins get regulated out, because really at the end of the day, what are they? You know, they're like governance tokens. Like they're kind of a scam. Everyone sort of knows that they're a scam if you've been in crypto long enough. But you kind of invest in them just hoping that one day they will not be a scam. But if they've been a scam in the past, I think that's what the SEC and these like organizations will look at. And so like a lot of these founders who have like dumped their coins on people, or, you know, like Chainlink, for example, like they just dump mad coins on their holders, or XRP has done that. So those two are sort of in a similar boat with that. And I also like, we'll take a look at Bitcoin. I also just want to say like, yeah, a bunch of things, you know, just a bunch of different things on my mind. But I will say that a lot of the celebrities and big banks that are coming out and supporting crypto right now, I don't look at that as bullish, okay? I just don't look at that as bullish. I look at that as them trying to create exit liquidity on you. Because at the end of the day, I follow Keith McCullough on the macro, and this is not the time you want to be buying, essentially. We might ride it up a little bit higher. None of this is financial advice, ever. None of it is life advice, medical advice, anything. But the thing is, like, we're in a quad 4. He's called this correctly every single time from when he started Hedgeye, or at least his process, somewhat. So he's called basically all the major crashes and quad 4s in the past like 14 years at least. And he's saying that if the Fed tightens, which means the Fed tapering back asset purchases as well as raising rates, that we will go into an even deeper quad 4 in Q2. And so that's what I'm expecting for now, until it's pretty much until like that changes, like if the Fed doesn't raise interest rates. But I think they definitely will now, because inflation is still high and oil has gone up. So because oil keeps going up, that just is going to make everything else more expensive that uses oil to produce it, including gold. So be careful, watch out for that. I don't look at Bitcoin as an energy play at the moment. You know, people say like it takes energy to make Bitcoin. So if energy prices go up, Bitcoin goes up. Right now, it doesn't look like it's trading that way. It looks like it's trading more like a tech stock. And so, yeah, like these candles, they just do not look good on the daily. This is essentially Gravestone Doji getting rejected twice. I could see us going sideways as like a Gerald and then just coming back down. And maybe that's like a double bottoming opportunity. I mean, you know, but I personally think that we actually will go a lot lower, which is hard for people to hear. But let's try and do the bull market support here. Okay, so we pretty much held that, which is cool. Well, okay, so we pretty much dropped below it, and then again we're like, so you know, we would want to see that hold, but it doesn't look like it wants to. Again, 200 days around 50K, so we want to blast up above 50K, hold that as support, and then go to see any type of, like, if that happens, maybe I buy back in, because I just don't see it happening. But we could blast through and then like get rejected, and everyone goes long, and then we get rejected. That's sort of the pattern. And I think this candle here is actually a short squeeze. And so during a bull market, right, we saw a ton of these long squeezes. So we would go up, people would long liquidated, long liquidated, long liquidated, long liquidated, long liquidated. Every time, right? We even here or here or here. And now it's the opposite, right? Short liquidated, short liquidated, short. So in a bear market, it's the opposite. So you sell the rips, right? Just like you buy the dips on these liquidations, right? In a bull, buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. Now, because we're in a bear, in my opinion, you sell the rip. So it's sell the rip, sell the rip, sell the rip, like until we hit that bottoming process. That's just where I think we're at. And I think if you have not gotten out, like if you're still 100% in crypto, like you think it's going to the moon, you need to wake up, because this, and you could scale out. Again, none of this is financial advice, but you could scale out. So you could kind of take a guess and be like, okay, let me take 10% of my portfolio off the table right now. If it goes a little bit higher, take another 10% and then continue to do that, because no one knows like if this is going to squeeze it a little bit higher or not. But right now it looks like we got rejected at the 50 on Bitcoin. And so let's look at a couple other coins just for the fun of it. I talked about Polkadot before. And this is a coin that I probably want to own, but I want to own it down here if it gets back to like 10 or even lower. I mean, maybe it gets back to like 750 or something, and then you can buy 100 tokens for $750. Right now it costs you 2,100. So you want to look to be buying, I think, with pennies on the dollar at this point. And I don't know how this chart looks good to anyone really. If it does, then it just looks like we've just been rejected again almost here. So that's interesting. I also look at this trend line here. We've been rejected. Let's see, 1, 2, pretty much 3, 4. We went above and didn't hold it as support. Rejected, couldn't even make it back. So, I mean, for me, this just looks like easily 10. So if you're in Polkadot, I think it's going to be, easily I could see it dropping another 50%. A lot of these altcoins, I mean, I just don't know. So we have the CFTC hearing on crypto. Check that out. See what this says. So there's just like a bunch of regulatory stuff coming out right now. So just be careful. The thing is, it could go either way, right? So no one knows like which way this is going to go. But there is a lot of fraud. There's a lot of fraud and scams in crypto. That's a fact. There's a lot of criminals who use crypto. That's a fact. Crypto is held at a large percentage by a small amount of people. That's a fact. And so, Tether is being sued. So I don't know if people know that. Let's see, Tether lawsuit. So this is the New York Attorney General has sued Bitfinex and Tether for being short 850 million in their reserves. this is, cryptocurrency is a giant Ponzi. Tether gets sued again. Okay, so in my opinion, this Tether thing could blow up the whole market. And there's a major cleaning up that needs to be done. And I think at the end of the day, I still say that Ethereum could end up being the place to be, because I think Bitcoin in the early days was manipulated a ton. And so if that stuff starts to come out, and I'm not saying Ethereum wasn't manipulated either, then, people start to lose faith. I also want to highlight this real quick, and this could, get me in trouble, possibly, but screw it. People need to know this stuff. People need to know like what's going on. Like, yeah, Bitcoin's a great technology. That's cool. Now look at this. Where is Jeffrey Epstein's money going? That's interesting. I didn't see this. 600 is 600 million estate to about 100. Okay. Let's see what this is about. Crypto. If we can find that. Where's that at? Say crypto in here. Okay, so it says number of interested buyers, including several cryptocurrency investors. So what you need to know essentially is that Jeffrey Epstein was a Bitcoin whale. Ghislaine Maxwell used to post a lot on Reddit, and her last Reddit post, let's just go to it. I don't know why I can't find anything today, or if Google's just like censoring this out. Okay, I don't know if this is the one that I saw before, but so the Maxwells loved, the Epstein and Maxwell, they love Bitcoin. Okay, so they are big Bitcoin whales. They may have to sell that Bitcoin off. It's strange a little bit to me that McAfee, right? John McAfee as well has talked about Jeffrey Epstein and Bitcoin. So we have Epstein, McAfee, and Hal Finney, who have all passed away. I don't know if they are part of a group that created it or not, but just imagine that comes out. Like, no one knows, right? And Bitcoin was obviously used at this point. Last time Maxwell used social media platforms, she was supposedly put up a post about someone mysteriously sending about $1 billion in Bitcoin on Wednesday, June 30th, 2020. So they obviously use Bitcoin in this sex trafficking thing. So just know that like what you're holding, it's not like this like pure like thing that everyone's like thinking it is. And I'm sick of seeing on Twitter people like I feel bad for people, because I think people, it's possible that this could happen. I'm not saying that there's like, a more than a 50% chance. I'm not even really saying there's like a 20% chance, but what if there's a 10% chance that, it's out in the open basically, but that it becomes more of a mainstream narrative that they use to sort of knock Bitcoin down. Like Ghislaine Maxwell forced to sell Bitcoin. Jeffrey Epstein's Bitcoin fortune goes, and then we have the Tether stuff. So we have Tether, we have Epstein, and you have to know the people connected to Epstein too that have all this Bitcoin. It's all these Silicon Valley people. So if these people start to be, prosecuted for being in these like pedophile rings, then they might have Bitcoin too that they have to sell. So I don't know. It's like the guy that's the owner of LinkedIn was a Epstein guy, and he's a Bitcoin guy. The digital currency group is connected with GBTC. They're connected to Epstein. So I know this sounds a little bit conspiracy. It is. This is for entertainment purposes only. None of this is advice or believe what you want to believe. I've gotten a lot of these ideas from like John Perez, who's a big conspiracy theory. You can look up Crypto Conspiracy podcast. It's on David Morgan, the Morgan Report YouTube. But so they kind of like put me onto a lot of this stuff. But But anyway, that's sort of a darker side, like, of what could be happening with crypto. Again, I do think that this is why I'm more of an Ethereum guy as well, because I just think, like, at the end of the day, if Bitcoin isn't doing well right now in this moment of time, then what is the point of it? Because it's supposed to be a gold-like asset that does well in chaotic times, that's not correlated to the stock market, that is sovereign money, that is not manipulated, that is, all these things that it's doing all the things it should not be doing. So then you have to question your thesis of what is happening, because no one's going to tell you this stuff. People are just permabulls. They're just constantly bullish. And no one will try to question any narratives. And I'm part of that because when you have 100% of your net worth in crypto, you're blinded. You have complete blinders on. Like, I remember seeing like different bearish stuff or crypto conspiracy or whatever, and I would just actively avoid it. Literally would not even it would not register with me. And some of you may have turned this off already because you're just like, I have too much in crypto. I can't even know this stuff. It just freaks me out. But this is stuff you have to know. These are risk factors that you have to put into your investment. And so I would just say right now, in my personal opinion, not financial advice at all, it's entertainment purposes only, that a good portfolio to have would be 33% cash, 33% silver and gold, 33% ETH. And, I just think because Ethereum is the technology that they're going to build. If we do get a metaverse, digital economy, all that, that's what's going to be built. And it's going to have to be Ethereum. So basically, Ethereum is your bet on like optimism, innovation, digital future, all these great things, internet, like it's like an internet bond. You can earn interest on it. They're burning it every day. So they're paying you a dividend. And that's the other thing is Ethereum, you can have a discounted cash flow value. Or I think I'm saying that wrong. But Ethereum is like a value stock. You can value it at a certain level. You cannot value Bitcoin. That's a fact. Bitcoin is either worth $1 million or zero, as people say. So Ethereum, because they burn ETH, the token, and because of the interest they pay on staking, they are directly paying out their shareholders or, their token holders. So you can actually value that. And if you go on to Bankless and you say, I think it says Ethereum is a $3 trillion asset. It's that episode. And this guy explains his process of how he came up with this value. And ETH right now should be worth $10,000. If there wasn't all these risks that were happening in the market and the correlations to the NASDAQ and all these different things with the Fed raising interest rates, Ethereum probably would be $10,000 right now. That's what everyone was predicting for this time period, right? So, including myself, I thought it would be 20K by now. And so, in a innovative, optimistic, not end of the world, back to normal, Fed stops raising rates world, Ethereum will probably go to 20 to 30K because that's what it will be should be valued at after the merge, after we go to staking. And that's a huge thing. I think that around that time could or before that could be like the bottoming process, and it would be perfectly timed to where the Fed might be like, okay, we can't raise rates anymore. The market's crashed too much. And, like I said, though, the issue is the inflation. So if inflation continues, which I think it will, because I think we're kind of having like food shortages and supply chain issues that I think are going to continue. We also have Russia possibly going into war. We have Russia and China trading oil with the euro now, not the dollar, which is a big thing. So the dollar could sort of take a hit there a little bit. We have China and Russia stacking gold, obviously. So there's a lot of geopolitical stuff happening with possibilities of war. I know this is a lot to take in, but also there was a cyber attack on 2 oil storage facilities in Germany in like this past week, and no one talks about it. This is what, the things that you might start seeing is a little bit more is of cyber attacks. The elite don't want to be blamed for this. So they're going to try to create a scenario, not create, but they're like almost hoping that something happens because they know the economy's screwed. They know we need a new system. So what would be the way to get the new system in? Well, it would be a cyber attack. And then they would maybe blame it on crypto and be like, oh, look at, they cyber attacked this. And then they like moved it into Bitcoin. And then maybe all the bad stuff about Bitcoin comes out and we go into this massive bear. These are just scenarios, but again, I do not like the way that this is behaving currently. To me, this looks sort of like a gravestone doji. So it's like we rally up and then we put in these dojis and then we sort of come back down. I know if you follow Random Task on Twitter, he does a YouTube for HXRO Labs. I recommend that for anyone that's into charts and just like talking about crypto. They do like some updates. He does a really good job of, he said like, we're coming into resistance here. And if we go back down to, I think around these levels, 2,500 or so, that's where he'll be buying. So this is kind of, it'll form like a W bottom. So if you're like a bull and you really think like, hey, we're not going ever into a perma bear ever again, like we always have, then that's kind of where you would want to buy. I'm skeptical of that, although I would like to possibly, just knowing that ETH should be worth 10K is like, it's hard not to buy at those levels. But for me, I'm sort of looking at lower levels. I'm even looking, to be honest, at like this level. And I know that sounds crazy, but in a panic sort of everything's a scam scenario, that's kind of our last point of resistance, right? It's like, that bottom right where we started the bull on January 1st. Okay, so that's like worst case. We also have this level, which I think is strong for sure. That's like old all-time high. Plus we have these, this and this and this. So, and then we obviously have, like this support here around like 1970. And then obviously we have the, this big support. That shouldn't be that high, should it? Yeah, around like 1700 or 1600 down here. So those are the lines that I'm looking at. It's tough to know what will happen next. And like I said, try to be positive. Check out Proctor Gallagher Institute. They have a 24/7 live stream that is just constant positivity. And I'm loving it so far. So hopefully you guys got something out of the video. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Like the video, share it even maybe if you want to. And have a great day. Peace.